Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 76 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. All right. I will see you all on the other side. All right, everybody, welcome back. Hal, good morning, brother. Happy New Year. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you, as always. Auntie Louisa, good morning. Right. So we just finished our meditation routine, and now we're getting into our journaling routine. So I will see you all on the other side. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Tomorrow we're going to finish our first journal, first full journal, which is awesome. So we just finished our journaling routine, and now we're going to get into our reading routine. So I will see you all on the other side. Excuse me. All right, everybody, welcome back. Good morning, Amy. Top of the morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Okay, so mindset and depression is what we're getting into today. So yesterday we talked about the chef who was rated, lower stars for his restaurant in Paris, France, and the question was, was he depressed? Was that the reason why he committed suicide for losing those stars? Was he depressed? The author says, as a psychologist and an educator, I am vitally interested in depression. It runs wild on college campuses, especially in February and March. The winter is not over. The summer is not in sight. Work has piled up and relationships are often frayed. Yet, it's been clear to me for a long time that students handle depression in a dramatically different ways. So what she did was she had students pretty much write in a journal from February until March. And first, the students with the fixed mindset had higher levels of depression, which is very interesting. Our analysis showed that this was because they ruminated over their problems and setbacks, essentially tormenting themselves with the idea that the setbacks meant they were incompetent or unworthy. It just kept circling in my head. You're a dope. In modern day terms, it's like, oh, you're dope. I read you're dope. But I was like, wait, it's supposed to be negative. So I read it again. You are a dope. I just couldn't let go of the thought that made me less of a man. Again, failures labeled them and left them no route to success. That's the fixed mindset. So all those students with the fixed mindset showed more depression. There were still plenty of people with growth mindset who felt pretty miserable. This being peak season for depression. And here we saw something really amazing. The more depressed people with the growth mindset felt, the more they took action to confront their problems, the more they made sure to keep up with their schoolwork, and more they kept up with their lives. The worse they felt, the more determined they became, which is really interesting, but it makes sense because from the standpoint of if something is bothering you or if there's something that's up for you, you're going to work really hard to try to figure out what that is and bust through it. And I always say, when I'm talking to people and when I'm talking to myself, if there's something that, again, is bothering you or that's on your mind heavily, you're supposed to address it. You're supposed to communicate with it, even if it's just within you, and then leave the rest to God. And I think that's really, really powerful practice. I also think that this is my own twist on it. During February and March, how about we imagine a reality that it is not the most depressing times during school, that I am well, that I am healthy, that I am not behind in my studies, that I am ahead of my studies. I'd rather speak a different reality into existence because it's kind of like, again, I like using this analogy because most people can relate to it. Back in high school, all the cool kids wore Jordans. So the one thing I didn't do was wear Jordans. Well, I wore Jordans, but they weren't the $350 pair of Jordans. It was the, 89 or 79.99 Team Jordans that were still really nice. But I went against the status quo oftentimes in high school and well beyond high school. And so it's worked out for me personally. And frankly, all those kids who were really cool in high school, who wore all those, all that cool stuff and all this, that, and the other, they're really cool too. And I'm actually still connected with them. But the way their attitudes and their personalities, I'm sure affected a lot of people a lot of the time, wasn't the most healthy. So my point here is that just because everybody is doing this one thing, or everybody's doing this one thing, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow the herd. And just because everybody says February and March are the most depressing times in college, well, frankly, for me, they weren't. They're actually probably some of the most exciting times, because we were in our last semester, March, April, May, June. We were coming up on our last semester. And so that was probably right around midterms, not midterms, was it midterms? Our final exams for the second quarter. And so that was actually a really exciting time for me, because next you go into summer, and then your last quarters and the sun starts coming out and everything is fantastic. So personally for me, I didn't experience this, and so even if I knew this was like the ratio or the depression time, I probably would have went against the grain, because I feel like we have power control how we feel during those times, and it all starts with our mind. So when people believe their basic qualities can be developed, failures may still hurt, but failures don't define them. That's the biggest thing. You're not defined by your failures. And if abilities can be expanded, if change and growth are possible, then there are still many paths to success. So in a fixed mindset, it's, oh man, I'm depressed. I failed my exams, or I didn't do well on my exams. I am now defined by my reality. On the growth side, it's I am bigger than my reality. I can imagine a world bigger than my reality. And so therefore I will. And not only that, if I face any success, those successes do not define me. I know who I am. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and readjust my strategy and execute again. And I'm going to do this until I'm successful, unless I change my route midway or mid-stride and choose a different reality to live. But either way, it's suggested that you always want to leave your mind open to the infinite amount of possibilities and the miracles that can happen to you every single day. Every single day is a new day. And when they say that, they mean that we have the ability to create miraculous realities for ourselves every single day. And if we give ourselves the space to do that from time in morning all the way, to the evening, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Funded by the Washington Department of Imagination. No, just playing. But people with growth mindsets. Okay, I talked about that. Oh wait, did I? Okay. So then we talk about. Then the author starts going into the tortoise and the hare, and how everybody secretly wanted to be the hare, but really the race is won with patience and effort. And so that's the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? The tortoise was a big hopping bunny that could race all the way. He was really fast, super talented, could run all the way to the finish line and back like 100 times before the slow tortoise was able to make it to the finish line. So the author says, well, this is an example of the fixed mindset, because it's either or, which I'm not sure if I can really connect that idea, but she said it's either or. You're either slow and with effort you can win, or you're very talented and you can win, but without effort you can lose, essentially. So I think you can have a combination of both. You can be somewhat talented, and I believe I would define talent as being able to do something efficient, do something to a certain level, even if it's on a basic. If you could do something on a basic level and you could train yourself to do it where you understand the functions of whatever it is you're doing, I believe that is talent. Then there's different levels of talent. But if you have that basic level of talent and you mix that with a powerful, determining effort, that you can achieve pretty much you can achieve anything that you put your mind to. Slow and steady wins the race. So going from the fixed mindset of either or, so either you're she calls it you're a slogger. You're either a slogger or you are slogger and you have a lot of effort and you complete your goals, or you're very talented and somewhat lazy and complete your goals or don't complete your goals. That's a fixed mindset. People with the growth mindset, however, believe something very different. For them, even geniuses have to work hard for their achievements. And what's so heroic, they would say, about having a gift? They may appreciate endowment, but they admire effort. For no matter what your ability is, effort is what ignites that ability and turns it into accomplishment, which makes total sense. A lot of the time, an easy analogy is like, oh, that guy takes steroids, so he's really buff and all that, and he has a really nice physique, and that, but he cheats, he takes steroids. Okay, so to one degree, to one degree, it is a muscle enhancing drug, right? So yes, you're going to see results faster. Yes, you're going to see results and significant results, right? Are there other ways to do, like, to be physically fit or have a nice physical physique? Absolutely. But on the other hand, though, they like, if you don't put in hard work, like, that stuff can really mess up your body. So even though it's a muscle enhancement drug, and we may see people with nice physiques all over magazines or whatever the hell, and they're doing the anabolic steroids, they still have to put in hard work. So I know that's kind of weird because it's not like a natural talent, it's not like a natural thing, but when I say natural, it's like different than somebody being really good at hoop, but Floyd Mayweather, let's scale that over, since we're in sports and physique. Let's scale that over to Floyd Mayweather. He's an exceptional boxer, right? But how much time does he really put in at the gym? And how many hours did he spend actually perfecting his craft? Countless hours, I'm sure. Countless hours. So that's the thing. Yes, you have talent. From a growth mindset, it's yes, you have talent. I see that. I respect that. But you put in hard work to get to where you are. I feel the same way. I have a lot of talents, but at the same time, I still have to put in hard work, a lot of hard work, to get to where I'm going and have the right mindset. Somebody with a fixed mindset looks at Floyd, right, and will say, "Hey, that guy is, exceptional. He's spectacular at what he does. He was born with that talent, and so therefore he is idolized." Right? Oh, maybe that's not me. I can't amount to that type of success, or I can't have that. No, no, no. I'm here to tell everyone that you can have that success, but it all starts with your mindset. And the mindset switch would be going from a fixed, oh, wow, that's so admirable, to, oh, wow, I can do that too. I just need to apply myself in whatever it is that I'm doing and spend hours upon hours perfecting my craft. Growth mindset, fixed mindset. Makes sense. Then she talks about the story of Seabiscuit, which is a horse that was beaten up and all the owners were beaten up, and how pretty much the horse became triumphant by winning the race, I think. And it was a story of will and effort. And so we'll end on Your Best You Ever, January 15th. And the passage for today is, as you begin anew, ask for directions. But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. Let me read that again. But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. So if you want anything in this world, ask God. Jesus made it clear to his disciples they should petition God to meet their standards. So should we? Genuine, heartfelt prayer produces powerful changes in us and in our world. When we lift our hearts to God, we open ourselves to a never-ending source of divine wisdom and infinite love. Do you have questions about your future that you can't simply answer? This is a big one for anybody out there who's like, oh, I don't know what my life purpose is. I don't know why I'm here. Do you have questions about your future that you simply can't answer? Do you have needs that you simply can't meet by yourself? Do you sincerely seek to know God's unfolding plans for your life? If so, ask Him for direction, for protection, and for strength, which is interesting because I write that every single day. And I thank Him for giving me all of those characteristics. And then keep asking Him every day that you live. And I think this is where we get confused oftentimes. We think that if I take this pen and I jam it into my leg, I will be bleeding out of my leg, and I will have a pen sticking out of my leg, and it will more than likely not feel so pleasant. That's a direct action, reaction. That makes sense, right? So, well, oftentimes we get it confused. If I wake up today and I meditate, then my life will be different. No, pause, yes, and no. It could happen in a day. Anything can happen. It can happen in a day, but if it doesn't happen in a day, that next day, it can happen that day. The next day, it can happen that day. And that's oftentimes, like I said, where we get things confused. I think it's very important that every single day, you have to have faith. Every single day, you have to know it's going to happen. And when you do that, it will happen. But in God's time, and you have to trust God's time, and you have to know that you're always protected. If you know and you live by these standards, mentally knowing it's going to happen today, pause. It has happened. It has happened. It has happened. And you're so focused and dialed, you're not distracted, looking over here, looking over there. You're not getting people's opinions on what they think. I had a listing. I had met with one of my clients, and this is a couple weeks ago. And you know what happened? Well, it's been a really interesting, actually, stream of events with real estate. Oh, that just reminds me, I need to message Kaylee and say good morning. But that was totally off topic, but I just remembered she greeted me the other day. But nonetheless, I had a client who I met with, and she asked me the question. She said, "Hey, is it a good time to list?" And I said, "Oh, absolutely." I said, but you have to remember one thing. You may talk to your friend, you may talk to your family, and they may tell you something different. But if you mentally can stay in it with me, then we will get this done together. In 24 hours, I sold her home in Auburn. 24 hours. Now, go through your Facebook feeds and look at all the other agents. Not all the other agents, but look at some of the agents. See if they complain about the market. See if they complain. Maybe not, because it's not good to complain online. But no judgment. But my point here is that I believe there's something more powerful that exists if you keep a positive mindset, a growth mindset. There is the reality that a house can sit on the market. Yes, that is one reality. And as my good friend Richard Seaman would say, that's a thought. But on the flip side, there's also the thought of it could sell in 24 hours. Absolutely. Because there is a buyer. Anything can happen every single day. Even if it didn't happen in 24 hours, day 2, I would think the same thing. Day 3, I would think the same thing. Day 4, all the way until that thing happened. And if I can't hold the space for that thing to happen, then what'll happen is I can either change the idea, or I can wish to not even want it no more. But if I really, really deeply want it, I'll say that to myself every single day until I get it. Whatever you need, no matter how great or small, pray about it and never lose hope. Exactly what I just explained. God is not just near. He is here. He is here. And he's perfectly capable of answering your prayers. All powerful, can drop miracles on you in an instant. Now it's up to you to ask. All we have to do is acknowledge our need, move from self-sufficiency to dependence, and ask God to become our hiding place. Bill Hybels. Building a better you. If you want more from life, ask more from God. If you're seeking a worthy goal, ask for God's help and keep asking until he answers your prayers. Boom. There it is, baby. I didn't even read this, but there you go. The natural, genuine truth comes out, and then it's reaffirmed with somebody else's idea. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Joining me day 76 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT, on the Journey to Greatness Season 2. And I wish all of you the best day of your lives today, and I will see you tomorrow at 5. See ya.